Today, we've drawn influence from Captain Tom, from our own experience, from people who inspire us, from the changes happening in America as the new president comes in. And we've been talking about our priorities and how you sustain them. Today, we are going to look briefly at Jesus's first 100 days. I find it fascinating that when Mark sat down to write about Jesus's life and all that he didn't start with a baby in a stable. No, he jumped right in. The editors of the Voice Bible put it like this. They say, when Mark writes in the first chapter about a mysterious man entering the scene, instantly the reader recognizes there's something very different about Jesus. He comes into the picture not as a rock star, but rather as someone humble, kind, and yet still kingly. Mark describes the people who are drawn towards this man as regular people who have become affected by the character, passion, and light of this strange Galilean. So whether we are people of faith or not, I think it's interesting for us here in Northstowe today to reflect on Jesus's mission, his purpose, and how he balanced that, how he went to live that, how his first 100 days went, in fact. Over the last couple of weeks in our more faith-filled Sunday afternoon gatherings, we've been reading through the story so far, the first chapter of Mark, and we have heard how Mark introduces Jesus through the prophets of old who spoke of the one who would come. We've heard how John the Baptist greeted him and baptized him and all that happened on that occasion. Mark then tells of Jesus spending 40 days in preparation in the desert, and we'll look at that during Lent, the 40-day season that's coming up to us. We then read how Jesus called his first followers, started teaching with authority, and now today we will hear what happens even outside the synagogue.
Mark 1, 29 to 39. Right after they left the synagogue, Jesus went with James and John to the home of Simon and Andrew. They told him about Simon's mother-in-law, who was there in bed, sick and feverish. Jesus went to her side, took her hand and lifted her up. As soon as he touched her, the fever left her and she felt well again, strong enough to bustle around the house, taking care of her visitors. Just before night fell, others had gathered, all the sick, diseased, and demon-infested people they could find. It seemed as if the whole town had gathered at Simon and Andrew's door. Jesus was kept busy, healing people of every sort of ailment and casting out unclean spirits. He was very careful not to let the demons speak because they knew him and could reveal to the people who he really was. Early in the morning, Jesus got up, left the house while it was still dark outside, and went to a deserted place to pray. Simon and the others travelling with Jesus looked for him. They finally tracked him down.
Everybody wants to know where you are.
It's time we went somewhere else, the next village maybe, so I can tell more people the good news about the kingdom of God. After all, that's the reason I'm here.
So he travelled to the next village and the one after that, throughout the region of Galilee, teaching in the synagogues and casting out unclean spirits.
I wonder what you noticed as we listened to that story. The editors of The Voice make this comment. They say, whenever possible, Jesus seeks out solitude so that he can pray and meditate. Jesus reveals his humanity. In these silent and reflective moments, he seems to refuel mentally, physically, and spiritually, because Jesus hears his Father speak during his time alone. And throughout Jesus' ministry on earth, he's hearing from his Father, and that seems to help him focus on the mission at hand, redemption. So in a moment, we here in our Zoom are going to pause. And whether you're a person of faith or not, then I'm hoping that this pause using contemporary music and paper folding mindfulness will help you refuel. And then afterwards, we will participate for 20 to 30 minutes. And there's a choice to choose between a reflective breakout room that Dan's going to lead with morning prayer, a community action discussion group that Kirsty and I are going to facilitate. Or you might like to have some screen off time. We're all zoomed out now, and take 20 to 30 minutes doing some crafty, active or reflective resources that I've given you the link of in the chat. And afterwards, anyone who wants to is welcome to share what you've noticed and join us in bringing these things together in prayer. But remember, at these breakfast gatherings, come and go as works for you. So, shall we prepare to pause